The dense fog hung over the cemetery, creating a mystical and almost otherworldly atmosphere. The place, wrapped in an almost palpable silence, was interrupted only by the occasional rustle of dry leaves, moved by a gentle breeze. In this scene, where life seemed to be on hold, something unusual began to capture the attention of the residents of the small town of Willow Creek. Amidst the old tombstones and ancient trees, there was a cat. A feline with gray fur, its amber-yellow eyes shining in contrast to the surrounding darkness. It appeared mysteriously, as if it had emerged from the very veil of night. It was a constant presence, a solitary guardian in a place where death lingered at every corner. The cat's name was Momo, known by some residents as a skittish cat, never attaching to anyone, but often seen roaming the outskirts of town. He was a mystery unto himself, a wanderer without an apparent destination. However, something in his behavior had recently changed. Momo was no longer seen in the alleys or on the rooftops of Willow Creek. Instead, he had chosen a specific spot for his vigil, a solitary tomb, where a worn wooden coffin lay, aged by time. There, he settled day after day, never leaving for even a moment. His continuous, almost devotional presence beside the coffin intrigued the few who observed him. The coffin belonged to a woman named Clara, an elderly lady who had recently passed away. Clara was a well-known figure in town, recognized for her love of animals. Throughout her life, she had taken in countless creatures into her small home, offering them shelter and affection. However, among all her four-legged companions, there was one cat she never managed to win over, Momo. When Clara passed away, her departure left a void in the town, but no one expected that Momo, the independent and solitary cat, would become the guardian of her grave. Days passed, and Momo remained there, refusing to eat, with his eyes fixed on the coffin, as if waiting for something or someone. The people of the town began to worry. Is the cat waiting for Clara to return? Why is he there? Why did he stop eating? These were some of the questions circulating among the inhabitants. They tried everything to get him to leave, offering food, shelter, but Momo didn't budge. He stayed there, lying next to the coffin, with a heavy heart and sad eyes. Momo's story began to spread through the town, soon reaching the surrounding areas, attracting the attention of journalists and curious onlookers. The mystery of the cat that refused to leave the cemetery became a topic of discussion, but no one seemed to understand the real reason behind this devotion. Meanwhile, in a distant corner of the cemetery, hidden by time and overgrown vegetation, lay a simple, almost forgotten tombstone. It was the resting place of a man named Elias, Clara's husband, who had passed away years before her. Elias was also known for his love of animals, and those who knew his story believed that his spirit, in some way, was connected to the cat's behavior. Time seemed to stand still for Momo. He didn't move, didn't eat, and didn't stray from the coffin, as if his very existence was intertwined with that of the woman who had passed. The mystery persisted, and the hearts of the people of Willow Creek grew more restless. What was Momo waiting for? Why did he refuse to leave Clara's grave? These unanswered questions were only the beginning of a story that would reveal long-buried secrets and emotions so deep that they would touch the souls of all who heard it. The days turned into weeks, and Momo remained by Clara's coffin, without eating, without leaving his spot. The concern of the residents of Willow Creek grew, and the mystery surrounding the cat's behavior deepened. There was something in those amber eyes, now fixed and inscrutable, that conveyed a sadness no one could fully understand. The town was divided between those who believed that Momo was living out his final days, unable to move on without Clara's presence, and those who thought that the cat was there for some other unknown reason. However, amid these speculations, there was one woman who couldn't ignore what was happening. Her name was Lydia, one of Clara's few close friends. They had shared many moments together, especially their love for animals. Lydia knew that Clara had a special fondness for Momo, even though the cat had never allowed himself to be petted by her. It was as if there was an invisible barrier between them, something Lydia had never been able to fully understand. Lydia decided that she had to do something. She couldn't just stand by and watch the cat slowly waste away, consumed by sorrow and abandonment. She began visiting the cemetery every day, bringing food, trying to gain Momo's trust. But the feline remained indifferent to all her attempts, ignoring Lydia's offerings and maintaining his unwavering vigil beside the coffin. Lydia recalled the stories Clara had told her about Elias. He had been the great love of Clara's life, and his death had been a severe blow to her. However, Clara had never shown bitterness. Instead, she found comfort in the animals she rescued. Momo was one of those rescues, but he had always kept his distance, as if something prevented him from getting closer. As Lydia reflected on these memories, she began to wonder if there was something deeper in this story. Could Momo's behavior be connected to something from the past, something Clara had never shared? Lydia started investigating Clara's life more thoroughly, going through old diaries, letters, and photographs. That's when she discovered something surprising. Among Clara's belongings, Lydia found an old photograph. In it, Clara stood beside Elias, both young and smiling, and between them was a cat. It wasn't Momo, but the similarities were undeniable. Lydia was intrigued and began to look for more information about the cat in the photo. Talking to the older residents of Willow Creek, Lydia discovered that the cat in the photo was named Smokey, and he had been Elias' pet before his death. Smokey had mysteriously disappeared shortly after Elias passed away, and Clara never heard of him again. The resemblance between Smokey and Momo was unsettling, and Lydia began to consider the possibility of a spiritual connection between them. Could it be that Momo was somehow linked to Smokey's spirit? Was the cat fulfilling an unspoken promise, an eternal loyalty to Clara and Elias? These questions began to haunt Lydia, and she found herself increasingly involved in a story that seemed to defy logic and reason. As Lydia continued her investigation, Momo began showing signs of weakness. His breathing grew slower, and his eyes, once vibrant, were now dull. Lydia knew that time was running out, but she still couldn't unravel the mystery surrounding the cat. In her heart, she felt she needed to do something to help Momo, but she didn't know what. The town of Willow Creek was also on high alert. People, who had once been indifferent to the cat's suffering, were now united in a desperate attempt to save Momo. The cemetery, once a place of solitude and silence, had now become a gathering spot for those who wanted to offer some kind of help, even if it was just a word of comfort. The pressure was mounting, and Lydia felt more lost than ever. She knew she needed to find a solution, but what could she do? As the mystery around Momo grew, so did the sense that time was running out. Something had to be done, and quickly. Then, on a cold, starry night, Lydia had a dream. In it, Clara appeared alongside Elias, both smiling serenely. Between them was Smokey, the cat from the photograph. In the dream, Clara approached Lydia and whispered something in her ear, something Lydia couldn't recall upon waking. But one thing became clear to her: there was a deep connection between Momo, Clara, and Elias, and the answer to the mystery was closer than she had imagined. With this new sense of urgency, Lydia decided she had to act. She would return to the cemetery the next morning, determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. There was something that had yet to be revealed, and Lydia was about to uncover the secret that could save Momo and perhaps bring peace to the hearts of everyone in Willow Creek. The sun timidly rose on the horizon, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and orange. The Willow Creek Cemetery, shrouded in morning mist, felt like a place suspended between two worlds, where time and space intertwined. Lydia walked toward Clara's grave with a heavy heart, feeling the urgency pushing her forward, but also a deep fear of what she might find. When she arrived at the cemetery, she found Momo exactly where she expected, lying beside the coffin, more fragile than ever. His thin body trembled slightly, and his breathing was almost imperceptible. Lydia knelt beside the cat, feeling tears stream down her face. She couldn't let Momo suffer any longer, but she also knew he was there for a reason she still didn't fully understand. Desperate, Lydia began to speak to Momo, as if he could understand every word. "Momo, please help me understand. I know you're waiting for something or someone. I don't know if it's Clara or Elias, but I feel there's something deeper here. If you're in pain, please let me help you." Momo slowly lifted his head, his now dull, amber eyes fixed on Lydia's. It was as if, at that moment, something invisible had been revealed. Lydia felt a wave of emotion wash over her, a sensation of connection she had never experienced before. It was as if, for a brief instant, the barriers between the world of the living and the dead had dissolved. Lydia took a deep breath and closed her eyes, trying to calm herself. Then, the image of the dream from the previous night came back to her with surprising clarity. She remembered the words Clara had whispered to her, words that now echoed in her mind like a desperate plea. He just needs peace, Lydia, just needs peace. With her heart racing, Lydia realized that Momo was trapped in a cycle of pain and suffering, unable to move on. He was waiting for Clara, but also for something more, the release from the sadness he had carried for so long. But how could she offer him that peace? Lydia began sifting through Clara's memories, trying to find something that could help. Then, she recalled a story Clara had told her years ago, a story about an old tradition that Elias followed. He believed that the soul of a loyal animal, one that had remained faithful until the end, needed a proper farewell ritual to rest in peace. This memory sent Lydia rushing back to Clara's small house, where Elias's old chest was kept, full of memories and old objects. Lydia knew the key to freeing Momo was in there. She rummaged through the chest, and after a moment of despair, she found what she was looking for, a small bronze bell, tied with a piece of red ribbon. According to Clara, Elias believed that the soft sound of the bell, when rung at the right moment, could guide the spirit of a faithful animal to eternal rest, releasing it from the burden of pain and attachment. Lydia didn't know if this would work, but at that moment, she was willing to try anything. She returned to the cemetery with the bell in hand, her heart pounding. She approached Momo and, with tears in her eyes, held the bell above the cat's head. "Momo, if there's anything I can do for you, let it be this. May the sound of this bell carry your soul to where it needs to be, so you can find peace." With a trembling hand, Lydia rang the bell, which emitted a clear and soft sound, echoing through the silent cemetery. Momo, who had seemed on the brink of collapse, lifted his head and looked directly into Lydia's eyes. It was as if, at that moment, something connected between them, something that transcended human understanding. The sound of the bell seemed to calm Momo's spirit. He closed his eyes and slowly rested his head, as if he was finally finding the rest he had long sought. Lydia felt a wave of peace wash over her heart as tears streamed uncontrollably down her face. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Lydia remained there, beside Momo, holding the bell firmly, feeling the presence of Clara and Elias around her, as if they were there, watching over the cat that meant so much to them. It was a moment of profound connection, where love and loyalty met, transcending the barriers of time and death. Momo, with a final sigh, settled beside the coffin, finally at peace. Lydia, still kneeling, felt a mix of sorrow and relief. She knew she had helped Momo find the rest he so deserved, but at the same time, she felt a deep emptiness at his loss. As the sun rose on the horizon, Lydia stood and looked around the cemetery. Everything seemed clearer, more serene. The mystery of Momo had been resolved, and he was now at peace. But for Lydia, the experience had been transformative. She realized, at that moment, that true love knows no limits, and that the loyalty of an animal can be as powerful as that of any human. The news about Momo spread quickly through the small town of Willow Creek. People who had once been mere spectators of a mysterious story now felt a deep respect for what had happened. The cemetery, which had once been just a place of sorrow and somber memories, became a gathering spot for those who wished to pay their final respects to a cat whose loyalty and love transcended understanding. Lydia, still feeling the impact of what she had experienced, decided to organize a ceremony in honor of Momo, Clara, and Elias. She knew that, although Momo was just a simple cat, his story had touched the hearts of everyone in town. It was a moment of reflection on how deep and transformative the bonds between humans and animals can be. The ceremony was scheduled for the following weekend. The residents of Willow Creek turned out in large numbers, many bringing flowers, candles, and even toys that Momo had often ignored in life but were now offered as gestures of love and farewell. The cemetery, usually a place of silence and solitude, was now filled with life, with the soft murmur of conversations, quiet laughter, and emotional sighs. Lydia, visibly moved, began the ceremony with a few words. She recounted the story of Clara, Elias, and Momo, revealing the details she had discovered about their past, the connection between the cat and the couple, and how Momo had found his final rest beside his old owner. Her words were interspersed with tears, but she managed to convey to everyone the message that true love, even between different species, is something that should never be underestimated. "Today, we're not just saying goodbye to Momo," Lydia said, her voice choked with emotion. We're celebrating the life of a being who taught us about loyalty, love, and the importance of honoring our connections, no matter how brief or distant they may seem. Momo showed us that love is eternal and that it stays with us even after those we love are gone. The eyes of those present were filled with tears. Many held each other's hands in a gesture of solidarity and mutual support. Momo's story had united the community in a way no one could have predicted. People, once divided by their own routines and concerns, now found themselves connected by a story that spoke directly to the heart. After Lydia's words, there was a moment of silence. Everyone approached the grave where Momo had spent his last days, placing their tributes next to Clara's coffin. The atmosphere was filled with an almost tangible serenity, as if the cemetery itself was grateful for this display of love and respect. Then, something unexpected happened. One of the townspeople, an elderly man named Henry, who had known Clara and Elias in his youth, stood up and began to sing an old song, a melody that Elias used to play on his guitar for Clara. Henry's voice, though frail, carried a deep emotion that touched the soul of everyone present. The melody echoed through the cemetery, and soon other residents joined in the song, creating a harmony that reverberated in everyone's hearts. The song's words spoke of eternal love, of connections that never break, and of how those who leave us leave their indelible mark on the lives of those who remain. It was both a farewell and a celebration of life. As the song ended, Lydia looked up at the sky and saw that the clouds, once heavy and dark, were beginning to dissipate, giving way to a clear, bright sky. She felt, at that moment, that Momo, Clara, and Elias were finally together, at peace. The cat had fulfilled his purpose and now rested alongside the people he loved, in a place where time and pain no longer existed. The ceremony concluded with everyone lighting candles in honor of Momo. The cemetery was illuminated by a soft, warm glow that contrasted with the darkness of the approaching night. Lydia, seeing the flickering flames, felt an inner peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She knew that, in some way, she had helped Momo find the peace he had been seeking, and that this experience would stay with her forever. In the days that followed, Willow Creek Cemetery became a place of pilgrimage for the town's residents. People came not only to visit their loved ones but also to pay their respects to Momo, Clara, and Elias. Clara's tombstone, where Momo had spent his last days, was now adorned with fresh flowers and small gifts as a symbol of the town's gratitude and love for that little cat. Lydia, for her part, felt that her mission was accomplished. She knew that Momo, Clara, and Elias were now together, in a place where love and loyalty were eternal. And as she walked through the cemetery, Lydia felt that, in some way, she too had found a little more peace in her own heart. The months following Momo's farewell brought subtle yet significant changes to the residents of Willow Creek. The cemetery, once a place of heavy memories, became a symbol of hope, love, and renewal. People began visiting the site not just to honor their loved ones but to reflect on the lessons that Momo, Clara, and Elias's story had imparted. Clara's tombstone, now a shared memory for everyone involved in the story, transformed into a sanctuary of compassion. Visitors from neighboring towns, who had heard of the incredible tale of the cat that never left his owner's side even after she had passed, began to make pilgrimages to the cemetery. Many left messages of love, small tokens, and even stories about their own animals, creating a collective connection of love and respect between people and their four-legged companions. Lydia, the woman who had the courage to confront Momo's mystery, became a kind of guardian of their memory. She spent hours at the cemetery, talking to visitors and sharing the story of Momo, Clara, and Elias, offering comfort to those who came seeking peace. These interactions brought Lydia a new sense of purpose in life, something she never could have imagined. One morning, while Lydia was sitting by the tombstone, a young woman approached, holding a gray cat in her arms. The feline, with curious, lively eyes, resembled Momo, but it was clear that he had his own spirit. The young woman, named Emily, had heard the story and decided to adopt the cat, who had been abandoned shortly after Momo's passing. Emily asked Lydia to bless the cat in Momo's name, believing that Momo's spirit of loyalty and love could live on through her new companion. Lydia, her heart warmed, agreed to the request, gently touching the cat's head and murmuring a simple yet meaningful blessing. "May you find in this little animal's heart the same love and loyalty that Momo taught us. And may this connection bring peace and happiness to you both." Lydia's words resonated deeply with Emily, who felt a wave of emotion wash over her heart. She knew that by adopting this cat, she was continuing Momo's legacy, a legacy of unconditional love that knew no bounds of time or space. Emily left the cemetery with a new perspective on life, feeling that she had been touched by something greater than herself. Lydia continued to live in Willow Creek, dedicating herself to caring for abandoned animals and raising awareness about the importance of love and respect for all creatures. She became a respected figure in the community, someone who had gone through a unique experience and emerged with profound and transformative wisdom. The story of Momo, Clara, and Elias became a legend in the town. It was told and retold at family gatherings, in schools, and even in local churches, always with the same effect: to inspire and move people. Children grew up hearing about the cat who loved his owner so much that he refused to leave her side, and these stories shaped a new generation of residents, more conscious of the importance of caring for the beings that share the world with us. Willow Creek, once a small and ordinary town, became known for its story of love and loyalty, attracting visitors who came not only to see where Momo rested but to experience the sense of peace and connection that the place radiated. The cemetery, once a place of mourning, was now a symbol of how love can transcend even the barriers of death. Lydia, always by Clara's tombstone, felt grateful to have been part of that story. She knew that Momo, wherever he was finally at peace, alongside those he loved. And she also knew that, somehow, Momo's story would continue to live on, not just in Willow Creek, but wherever it was told. And so, the small town of Willow Creek became a place of inspiration for all who heard of the cat who never left his owner's side. A place where love and loyalty were celebrated, not just among humans, but among all creatures that share this world with us. And where, somehow, everyone felt that the souls of Momo, Clara, and Elias were still present, watching over everyone with the same love they shared in life.